Because every time in history that there's been this huge bureaucratic thing that everyone just thinks will blow over, some dude or woman with a big mouth with an alternative opinion goes, that's enough.
For a long time, I felt the army let me down, but the answer is it's life. Sometimes you have everything and it just gets taken from you. And it's how you respond to it. You can either be the fool or you can be the hero. So.
And that's to my last point. You got to take the leap.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Founders Journal. I'm Tom Moore, your founder, and each week I'm going to be showing you conversations that are hard and reflections that are hard that share the unknown story that a lot of founders go through. We always hear the tales of triumph and in sometimes the tales of collapse. But what we rarely see and what we rarely get to talk about is the individual journeys that people go through as they bring an idea into the world and see if the world will take it. As a founder, you have to have a lot of hard conversations. You would say the majority of your job is hard conversations, whether it's an internal conversation or it's an external one. A lot of entrepreneurs that have been going for a decade or more, you'll hear them say, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. And I like to think of it as I'm at my limit and I don't know if I can take any more. So why I'm releasing the Founders Journal is to provide an angle and a voice to share those conversations and to make founders that go on these journeys real. And hopefully it will help them and me get comfort in why we're so unemployable, but also why we have an absolute itch to bring a new idea into the market to change the world. And one thing that's always undervalued is how nice it can feel to just let people know how you're going and what you're up to. So I'm going to be releasing a journal entry once a week on my journey, and over time I'll be hopefully also bringing different founders into the journal to share theirs. A more public-facing Founders Journal will hopefully drive more individuals to try out innovative products, more individuals to build their own company and embrace entrepreneurship, and those individuals that are in the fight, that are going through hardship, hopefully it'll give them an opportunity to decompress, not feel alone, and to reconstitute. Because we need these people to keep going. We need them not to be tired. We need to not take them from a world of being an idealist to being a cynic. And we need them to keep going. So the way that we're going to run this journal is I'm just going to ask myself some questions and then answer them honestly. Sometimes the questions will change. If you have any particular question you'd like to ask, I'd love to hear from you about it. And I don't really need a big budget, or am I looking to drag in a lot of different views. I hope this just gets to where it needs to go. And I hope that the focus is on discussing hard things. So my first question is why am I doing this? And I'm doing this because I went through a lot of success and then a lot of trauma. I need to figure out what I did wrong, where I created value, and how to partner with the right people correctly to do it properly. I'm on a healing journey that's focused on not being as loyal and being more compatible and pragmatic. We went through a huge growth spurt, and I couldn't get the right things out of the people that we attracted. I'm on a journey to figure out why. A lot of it, I think, is to do with how I communicate or how I'm perceived, and also just because it's the first time. But hopefully over the course of the journals, I can uncover it and in a way become uncomfortable, become more considered, and become more aware. So in the last week, what was hard? The hardest thing I had to hear in the last 7 days was a part of my work with the GED, where I took it, I was told that I got some feedback that in a co-design session I was dismissive. Now, you get this feedback a lot. If you're in the arena and you're trying to navigate a whole bunch of different stakeholders and moving a business-to-business product, it is very, very hard as a founder to have an opinion, to get information and drive a conversation, and also appear collegiate. Okay? You're there for a reason. You put your sword on the table and your line in the sand. And for years in these sessions I was told I'm the problem, but then the ideas and the A players would take the idea and then produce something that would really work. Some cases it wouldn't, but most cases it would really work. And I found it really hard to take myself out of the equation. And I always would think people are attacking me. So this week when I was called by a president of an organization and they said that, we had some feedback that you were dismissive, I could feel my anxiety ramping up. And then I could feel my resentment for thinking that who are the people I'm working with and why don't they care about the problem? And then I could feel my own self-doubt creep in after that resentment, asking myself, what did I do wrong? I can't put my finger on it. So I rang up and asked my team that were on the call, and they said, there was nothing that pointed at you doing wrong, and that it was actually quite a collegiate discussion, and we worked out that I only spoke for about 5 minutes out of an hour and 45-minute session. So it would be very hard for me to be dismissive. So I was feeling extremely anxious and stressed because I'd been working really hard in this particular new venture with the GED to be more patient, more collegiate, more precise, and more considered. And my brain went immediately to, after years of being told I'm the problem, what's the point? I'm not really making any money out of this. I'm not going to become extremely rich. This person doesn't work for me. Well, why do I need to still have this fight? Why do I need to keep coming across as a dominant young man with brash ideas when I barely spoke on a call? Why is that still happening? And I went through that cycle. And that cycle is a really dangerous loop. It demotivates me. It demotivates my household and my partner. And it makes me really unproductive. And on this call, I'm going through all of these emotions and texting the team, and I don't get through the loop. I'm pretty angry, and I get reminded by this president at the end that that she reinforced that in over 30 conversations you've never been dismissive, and she said a really interesting comment that she said previously that, Tom, you're Dennis Rodman. You're what everyone needs for the championship game. The team isn't ready for the championship game. They can't handle that you turn up on time but don't do any of the pre-workouts. And they can't handle how you act after it. But when you're on the pitch, you do things that no one would ever imagine. So sometimes someone that's saying they're dismissive is really just saying they don't feel heard, and they're worried about how they act in the championship game. And rather than address some insecurities, they can bring it out on you. So the answer shouldn't be to push someone away. It should be to drag them closer. And just assume that they just felt unheard. But they were always going to feel unheard the first time. So maybe you just need to have the conversation 5 to 10 times. And I sort of said, sure, I get it. But I didn't really care. And I was like, I've been let down by a lot of institutions. It looks like I'm just going to get let down again. But I thought, why don't I be the fool instead of the hero here? And why don't I just put myself out there again? So I crafted an email and I sort of said, it was never my intent for you to feel this way. Here are all the things I'd love for you to lean in on. I'd love to jump on a call to address how you feel. And we did, and it was the right thing to do. I don't know how I feel about it all. It just seems really unproductive to have 5 or 10 conversations to show that I don't have negligent or I don't have malicious intent, that I'm not here to hurt you, and I'm here to help. But maybe that's all that's needed. It was hard because you have an optimistic view on the world and people and of them, and you know that you're going to have to get attacked 5 to 10 more times just to win this one person over. And it's hard because you're probably going to have to do that thousands of times if you're doing something truly innovative. And every time, it doesn't get easier when you go through that loop of anger, resentment, self-doubt, anxiety, and you could go into depression or action. Not every time I choose action. That's why it's hard. So what am I doing at the moment? I am currently doing my GED to understand what GED learners go through so I can help them get better jobs. It's 700,000 of them a year, 150,000 graduate. I want to help get more people graduated, and I want to help more people graduate and more people get a job straight out. The idea of the GED is a valuable credential I'm seeking to change because it's really fucking hard. It might not sound hard, but I just passed my GD ready barely for maths, and I've been studying it for about 2 hours every day. I'm not good at fractions, inequality, or algebra. It just doesn't have it. So I'm doing the GD. The second thing is I'm helping about 3 founders with their enterprise sales process at Mammoth Hunter. I'm building a new course on discovery, and I'm helping navigate an extremely complicated firewall and cloud architecture problem for a large defense customer. So that's what I'm doing in Mammoth Hunter. In Tucker Capital, we're helping around 5 entrepreneurs look for a strategic event, whether it's a buyout, whether it's a capital raise, or whether it's turning around their organization. And with you with me, it's helping them get through 2 large-scale defense software projects. It's about 100 hours a week. It's pretty hard. They're all different problems at different speeds, with different time spans, with different stakeholders that require shifting in roles and shifting in gears. You have to go from a consultant to a negotiator, to a designer, to a salesperson, to a marketer, to a speechwriter, and to get all of those things to work. But why am I actually doing it? Well, the GD gives me a vehicle to reform the education sector. Rote learning of comprehension and arithmetic does not equate to the aptitude required for the skills of the future. It's actually the opposite. If you're much better at abstract reasoning, you're going to score much higher in everything from cloud engineering to sales, where things are becoming more abstract as systems take over and people integrate with them. So the GED gives me a really nice avenue to reform education and get learning focused on being personalized, linked to employment, so then people have the time to master and learn real things, which is how degrees used to be done. Mammoth Hunter Club allows me to work with founders on what I'm good at, being sales, to help them keep their equity and change their business, because the debt markets aren't really supporting them. Tucker Capital gives me the opportunity to work as an investment banker to understand how to do better deals and to create strategic partnerships which could shape an industry. So I'm learning how to be a deal maker, which is different to someone doing a sale. And With You With Me allows me to change the labor market from experience based to aptitude and skills based. So they're the real reasons I'm doing it. But I think I'm really doing it because I have a family to look after. I never really said that before. I don't think I would still be chasing any entrepreneurial dream if I didn't have a family that I have to provide for. It's hard to see past that, which is very new for me. So what can't I do? I can't do TikTok videos. I really can't. I struggle to learn in an interpersonal fashion. So I did my learning style test again and worked out I was an intrapersonal learner and a verbal learner, so I need to talk about something and I need to go away and do my own analysis. That was really refreshing. I really can't do math. I don't have time and I can't build a specific type of personality test that I think would really work, which is around time span. There's a lot I can't do, and I'm not even quite sure the things I'm doing I'm going to be able to achieve. And I ask myself all the time if I'm doing too much, but I go back to my sort of question: if you're given the opportunity to do it, it's seldom wasted. Missed opportunities can cost you a lot of pain, so can missed destiny. Do I really want this? I really, really, really want to help people to get a GED, get a better job. The rest I'm not sure about. I really am not sure. But helping those educators and individuals is powerful work. What interaction am I proud of? I am proud of sending that email at the start of the week after getting that feedback. I'm nervous. I'm scared, but I'm proud of it. What am I not? Interaction am I not proud of? I had a conversation with 2 investment bankers that were sharing ideas, and I didn't feel heard. And I aggressively inserted myself into that conversation to flip the script. Now, one of them gets pretty anxious when confrontation happens, and the other enjoys it. I'm really not proud of the way I injected myself. I could have injected myself with less brash words and more finesse. Something to think about. I'm also not proud of some of the items in my pipeline. It's getting harder and harder to focus on an end-to-end sales process with a lot of opportunities. And what's real and what isn't. And I am not proud of my skill set or the level of the skills that I have in solving that problem. Am I in love with the things I do every day? No. I'm back to cold calling, cold emailing. Well, I'm always doing it. I enjoy the hunt, but I'm not proud of getting people's attention to talk to them. I'm definitely not proud of speaking to HR people every day, or presenting an idea that I know works and them shutting it down after a meeting. It's really, really hard to be connected and proud of what you're doing when the moments of success are fleeting, even though the evidence is clear. Do I feel guilty about anything? I don't think I'm working hard enough. And I definitely don't think I'm working smart enough. And I don't know how to navigate those two. How am I changing the world? connecting those that do the GED to employment. That's the only thing I'm doing right now that I feel will change the world. I just went through that GED ready exam for maths, and it was hard. Studying for it was hard. You had to be disciplined, you had to be gritty. I worked full time while I did it. There is no reason why people shouldn't be looking to hire any of those people that graduate that program, especially with the level of skills that currently exist in organizations. These people are absolutely brilliant and resourceful, and they should be hired and trained. Most of them had a terrible background. Most of them don't learn the way that high school likes, which probably means that they need to be hired. Their learning preferences are very different to those that are successful at school. They have musical learning preferences. They have auditory learning preferences. They have case study, visual learning preferences. All of those things aren't how schools teach. They teach via interpersonal and intrapersonal. Someone will tell you something, you need to comprehend it and remember it. And you got to go home and read something and comprehend it and remember it. It's like a very, very small part of the population. If I can just get one GED graduate hired into a role with no experience in the education level and get one employer to change that I meet, then I'm changing the world. The only thing that I wanted to add that I learned this week was the concept of, as a founder, productivity can kill trust. So, you're always moving quickly, you're making decisions, you're getting work done, your output is huge, and it's always going to be huge because it's your business. Even if you make staff shareholders, a lot of the time it never really becomes their business. Their business thing happens when they put money in or they become an equal partner. And what I learned is that from a certain president of a company was that the team were worried about letting me down because they're not moving fast enough. And what that does is it creates an environment that's not safe, that limits trust and drives insecurity. So sometimes as a founder, when you're right out in front, you've got to be extremely productive. You've also got to be extremely productive in the course of your week. But you don't have to blow your team up when you're more productive than a whole team on one project that's in your purview. So if something's important, just know that your speed and productivity of being relentless in a particular project with one particular team could really destroy their trust. Now that was really hard for me to learn in the military because productivity is rewarded when you learn one-on-one soldier skills, weapon skills. The faster that you solve the problem, the safer people feel. But when you're in a team and in a business, sometimes you need to take a step back and give them the question, not just the problem and the solution, and tell them to execute. If you do that, then you just start doing it yourself anyway, because you are extremely productive. You'll blow up trust. That is the polar opposite to the military, where speed and response time can create safety. And the reason they don't trust you is not because you're doing really anything wrong. It's that they're worried about that they can't play alongside you. So my big lesson for the week was productivity can kill trust. Make sure your impact is focused in a number of places to limit that occurrence. And make sure you ask questions versus giving an objective and a solution. And let them solve it. And let them have the time to do it. And ask them for the time. And then set the acceptable one in accordance with your plan. That's episode 1 of the Founder's Journal. Some of these things are really hard to deal with. And there'll be much more hard things to deal with over the coming weeks. Thank you.